Welcome to another deep dive today. We are going to be exploring The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this one. There's a lot in here, a lot of different chapters on like healing and wealth and relationships and kind of overcoming mental blocks. And the idea is that all of these seemingly disparate topics are connected through the subconscious mind.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about Murphy is he's really focused on practical application. So it's not just theory, It's like, okay, here's how this stuff actually works.
Yeah.
Here are some techniques. And I think that's really exciting for people.
Absolutely, yeah. I like how right from the start, Murphy emphasizes that our subconscious mind is like this reservoir of untapped potential. And he calls it this treasure house of infinite intelligence and boundless love, which is such a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah. You know what I really like is that analogy he uses about the magnetized piece of steel. Yeah. You know how a magnetized piece of steel can lift many times its weight, but demagnetize it, and it can't even lift a feather.
Yeah, that's such a good visual.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that when you believe in yourself and your potential, you tap into a powerful force that can really shape your reality.
It's like our beliefs act as this mental magnet,
attracting
the experiences and outcomes that are aligned with those beliefs.
Right.
And like speaking of that, the book is full of these stories that demonstrate this principle in action.
Oh, yeah. Tons of great stories in there.
Do you remember the story of the boy in Australia who wanted to become a doctor but, had no money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that story.
So he would visualize his medical diploma every single night. And through this series of like seemingly improbable events, he was able to attract the mentors and the resources that he needed to actually achieve his dream.
Yeah, what a great story. I mean, and it's so simple, but it just shows the power of like consistent visualization.
And belief, yeah.
And just like really believing in what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's a concept that really runs throughout the book, isn't it? Like whether it's attracting wealth or healing our bodies or, finding love, Murphy always emphasizes the importance of aligning our thoughts and beliefs with our desires.
Absolutely. He talks about, the dual nature of the mind, the conscious and the subconscious.
Right. Okay.
The conscious mind is like the watchman at the gate, and it's responsible for our reasoning and decision-making and willpower.
Okay.
But the subconscious mind, that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
It's the seat of our emotions, our habits, our deep-seated beliefs.
Okay.
And crucially, it is incredibly receptive to suggestion.
Okay, so that seems very important.
Super important, right. Because, Murphy likens the subconscious mind to fertile soil. You can plant seeds in it, and they will grow.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. So the question is, what seeds are you planting?
Right?
Right. Are they seeds of doubt and fear, or are they seeds of, abundance and love?
And he has a really good example, right?
Yeah.
The story of Dr. Esdail in India. So he's a surgeon who was able to perform successful operations using only mental anesthesia.
Yeah, that's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. And this was even in like the absence of modern sterilization techniques.
Wow.
But his patients, they believed they would experience no pain and no infection.
Right.
And their subconscious minds responded accordingly, leading to like these successful recoveries.
That's incredible. It just really shows the power of the mind-body connection. And, we see that in other stories and other situations as well.
Right.
Where people achieve extraordinary things through the power of belief.
Right.
Like feats of healing and strength.
Right, yeah.
Like it just really shows the connection between what we believe and what our body's actually capable of.
Okay, so we've got this powerful subconscious mind that's receptive to suggestion.
Yeah.
But how does that suggestion actually work?
Right, yeah.
Like Murphy goes into two different types of suggestion, autosuggestion and heterosuggestion.
Yes. So autosuggestion is the power we have to influence our own minds.
Okay.
Like through our thoughts and our beliefs and our self-talk. Like a great example of this is the story of the professor who healed his infected lung by using affirmations.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He consistently affirmed healing, wholeness every night before sleep.
Okay.
And within a month, he made a full recovery.
Why?
So it's like his own positive suggestions, repeated with conviction, reprogrammed his subconscious mind.
So that's how we can harness autosuggestion for good.
Exactly.
But then there's the flip side, heterosuggestion.
Right. And that's where things can get a little tricky.
Yeah.
Because just as we can influence our own minds for good, we can also be susceptible to negative suggestions from others.
Right, and we might not even realize it.
Exactly.
And there's that scary story of the man in India who was told by a crystal gazer that he would die at the next new moon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that story.
And, he believed it completely. And sadly, his subconscious fulfilled the prediction.
It's a stark reminder that we need to be really mindful of the information and influences we let into our minds.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to beliefs that can impact our well-being.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, we're bombarded with suggestions all the time, from advertising, media, opinions, beliefs of those around us.
Yeah.
So while not all hetero suggestion is negative, it's just crucial to develop a discerning mind, questioning the information we're exposed to and choosing to focus on what empowers and uplifts us.
Okay, so we've talked about the subconscious as this treasure house of potential, the importance of belief, the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
And I think now, one of the areas where people are really eager to see results is around attracting wealth and success.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, who doesn't want more of that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what does Murphy say about harnessing the subconscious for financial prosperity?
So chapter 9 really gets into this topic. And one of the key takeaways is that wealth, it begins in the mind.
Okay.
It's about cultivating what Murphy calls a wealth consciousness.
Interesting.
So he uses this great analogy of money circulating like blood in the body.
Okay.
When money is flowing freely in our lives, we are economically healthy.
Got it.
Just like good blood circulation indicates physical health.
Uh-huh. I see.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that he points out that a lot of people struggle to attract wealth because their subconscious beliefs about money are in conflict with their conscious desires.
That makes sense.
Yeah. They might say affirmations like, I am wealthy.
Yeah.
But if deep down they believe money is evil or hard to come by, their subconscious is going to hold them back.
Right, because it's that creates resistance.
Totally. It's like trying to drive a car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake.
Yeah, good enough.
You're not going to get very far, right? And that's why Murphy emphasizes the importance of, really identifying and transforming any limiting beliefs we have about money.
And he suggests different techniques, right, for doing that?
Yeah, he does. A bunch of different ones. But one that really stands out is what he calls the thank you technique.
Okay.
Which is where we cultivate a feeling of gratitude for wealth even before it arrives.
Oh.
So it's about shifting our mindset from lack to abundance.
Okay.
From focusing on what we don't have to appreciating what we do have. And feeling grateful for the wealth that's already flowing into our lives, even in small ways.
Right. And that reminds me of the story of Mr. Broke, which is just such a great name.
Yeah, right.
So this guy, he was broke.
As the name suggests.
But he was diligently practicing this thank you technique, expressing gratitude for his wealth, despite his circumstances.
And it worked.
And what's remarkable is that he landed this highly lucrative job.
Yeah, it's a great example of how, the subconscious mind doesn't respond to logic. It responds to feelings.
Right.
And beliefs. And the more we can cultivate that feeling of already having what we desire, the faster we attract it into our lives.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway. So you want to attract wealth. Start by feeling wealthy, even if it's just in your mind.
Exactly. Fake it till you make it, as they say.
Right.
So we're back, diving deeper into the power of your subconscious mind.
Picking up where we left off, right?
Yeah.
Thinking about these subconscious principles and how they can affect our relationships. And Murphy has quite a bit to say about that, especially about marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. In chapter 14, he's really big on the idea that fulfilling relationships start in our own minds.
Okay.
He says, the meaning of marriage is that two souls meet and to grow more spiritually. So before we even look for a partner, or try to make things better in a relationship we're already in, we've got to cultivate inner peace and happiness.
He's basically saying choosing to be happy is a decision we make every day.
Exactly. It's not about waiting for our partner to change or for things to be perfect around us. It's about choosing a positive mindset, seeing the good in our partner and the relationship.
And I like how he connects that inner work to this idea of projection.
Oh, yeah. Powerful stuff.
He's saying whatever we carry in our minds, love, resentment, fear, we project it outwards onto our partners.
Makes sense. If we keep focusing on our partner's flaws or those past hurts, we just keep creating this negative loop that eats away at the relationship.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, like shining a flashlight on the darkness instead of on the good stuff. And this isn't just for romantic relationships either, right? It goes for all kinds of interactions.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's that really sweet story about the woman who used affirmations and visualization to attract her perfect husband.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Even though she went on some really bad dates, she held on to this mental picture of a loving, supportive partner. And through constant prayer and affirmation, boom, she finds her soulmate and has this happy marriage.
That's powerful. Really shows how strong that vision can be, even when things don't seem to match up at first.
It's about trusting the subconscious to work its magic, to make things happen based on our thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. But on the other side of that, Murphy doesn't shy away from the tough stuff like divorce either.
Right. He tackles that head on.
He argues that divorce, like a lot of challenges in life, often starts in our minds.
Interesting.
When couples keep dwelling on the negative, those resentments, it sets up this pattern in the subconscious that can actually lead to them splitting up physically.
So we really do have a choice in how we see our partners in relationships.
Yeah. Choosing to focus on love, understanding, forgiveness, that can change those patterns and make things more harmonious.
Okay, so we've seen how these principles can help us find, love, build good relationships. But what about the past? All that baggage, hurts, grudges we tend to carry around. Can the subconscious help us deal with that too?
Absolutely. Chapter 17 is all about forgiveness. And Murphy makes it clear, forgiveness isn't about saying what someone did was okay or letting them off the hook. It's about freeing ourselves from that anger, resentment, pain.
I like the metaphor he uses, that holding on to grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Right. It only hurts us in the end.
Exactly.
And the way he ties forgiveness to the flow of life force within us is fascinating.
Oh, how so?
He says when we cling to those negative emotions, it blocks that flow, creating this stagnation, almost like a disease in our minds and bodies.
But when we forgive, it's like clearing those blockages.
Exactly. The life force can flow freely again, bringing healing and energy to everything we do.
Powerful stuff.
And there's this really touching story about a man who felt so guilty about cheating his brother years ago, carried that burden for decades, even after his brother had passed away, and it was making him sick, both physically and emotionally.
Wow.
But through prayer and sincerely forgiving himself, he experienced this huge release from that guilt. It let him finally heal and move forward.
It's amazing how forgiveness can set us free from the past, so we can experience more peace and joy now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered forgiveness, but what about those mental blocks?
Yeah.
The fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs that seem to hold us back from really achieving our potential. Does Murphy offer any insights on how to overcome those?
Definitely. Chapter 18 is all about removing mental blocks. And he introduces this concept called the law of reversed effort, which sounds kind of counterintuitive.
Law of reversed effort. What's that all about?
It's the idea that trying too hard to force our subconscious mind to accept something can actually backfire.
So it's not about sheer willpower then, just pushing through it.
Not exactly. He says the subconscious responds better to gentle persuasion, repetition, and trust. When we try to force it, we create resistance, which just makes those patterns we're trying to change even stronger.
Makes sense. It's like trying to swim upstream. Much easier to go with the flow.
Exactly. Surrendering to something bigger than ourselves, trusting the wisdom of the subconscious, and letting it lead us towards our goals.
He shares a really inspiring story of a man who was an alcoholic, and he was able to overcome his addiction by consistently affirming peace, poise, and freedom in his mind. And by repeating those affirmations with conviction, he eventually reprogrammed his subconscious, breaking that negative pattern of addiction and achieving lasting sobriety.
Really shows how adaptable the subconscious is. Even those deep-rooted habits and patterns can be changed with consistent, focused effort.
It's like that saying, what you water grows. If we keep feeding our minds positive, empowering thoughts, those are the seeds that will flourish in our lives.
Absolutely. And it's not just about positive thinking for the sake of it. It's about aligning our thoughts and beliefs with what we truly desire and trusting that our subconscious can make it happen.
Okay, so we've seen how the subconscious can help us attract wealth, heal relationships, even overcome addiction. But what about accessing its wisdom more directly? Tapping into those wells of creativity and insight that seem to be there. Does Murphy offer any guidance on that?
He does.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the wonders of sleep, which he talks about in chapter 13.
Okay.
He emphasizes that sleep isn't just about physical rest, it's also a time for our minds and spirits to rejuvenate. It's when the subconscious really gets to work, processing information, coming up with solutions, even delivering creative breakthroughs.
Welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into the power of your subconscious mind.
Yeah, it's been really fascinating exploring all these ideas.
We've covered so much, from attracting wealth, healing relationships, to the power of belief and suggestion.
And there's still more to unpack. In this part, I want to look at how we can use these principles to overcome fear, improve our health, and even see aging in a new light.
That's good. Let's start with fear. It's something we all deal with in different ways, right? Fear of failure, public speaking, the unknown. How does Murphy say we should approach those feelings?
Well, he points out that fear is often based on false beliefs, things we imagine might happen. Instead of trying to ignore fear, he says we should confront it, but in our imagination.
So like facing it head on, but in a safe space.
Exactly. Let's say you're afraid of public speaking. You visualize yourself giving this amazing speech. The audience is engaged, the words come easily, and you feel that sense of accomplishment.
It's like practicing in your mind, but with the subconscious involved.
Right. By repeatedly experiencing that positive scenario in our minds, we weaken those patterns of fear and replace them with confidence and mastery.
And then that inner confidence starts to show up in real life too.
Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about abundance. We touched on attracting wealth earlier, but how does the subconscious help us create financial prosperity?
Murphy really emphasizes the need to shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance. And remember, the subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what we imagine.
So if we keep focusing on feelings of wealth, gratitude, generosity, we're aligning our subconscious with that frequency of abundance.
It's not just wishing for wealth. It's that inner knowing that we're worthy of it.
He suggests things like visualizing ourselves, enjoying financial freedom, being grateful for what we have, even doing acts of generosity.
Even small acts, like a genuine compliment or helping someone out, can reinforce that feeling of abundance.
It sets up a positive cycle. When we act from abundance, we attract more of it.
Speaking of positive cycles, how do these principles apply to nurturing our existing relationships?
It comes down to choice. We can choose to focus on the good things in our relationships, appreciate our loved ones, and hold that vision of the connection we want.
So it's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing where we direct our attention.
Right. If we dwell on flaws or past hurts, we just keep those patterns going.
Instead, we can nurture the love, respect, understanding. That's what will help the relationship grow.
And forgiveness is key, too. Letting go of resentment and choosing compassion allows healing and growth to happen.
And it's not just forgiving others, right? It's forgiving ourselves, too. Holding on to guilt and shame just blocks love and connection.
Now, for another important area, how can we use the subconscious to improve our health?
Murphy highlights that strong mind-body connection. He says to visualize ourselves as healthy and vibrant, affirm statements of perfect health, even mentally address specific parts of our body that need healing.
Like that story of the professor who healed his lung with affirmations really shows how powerful our thoughts and beliefs can be.
Of course, it's important to say these techniques aren't a replacement for medical treatment. Always talk to a doctor about any health concerns.
Absolutely. But these mental and spiritual practices can work alongside traditional medicine to support the body's natural healing.
Lastly, let's talk about aging. As we get older, does our subconscious still have something to offer?
Murphy reminds us that aging doesn't have to be about decline. It can be a time of growth, wisdom, fulfillment.
He encourages us to keep that youthful spirit, be open to new experiences, and always keep learning.
There's this great story of an executive who saw retirement as a promotion, like going from kindergarten to first grade. He saw it as a chance to follow his passions and expand his horizons.
What a great way to look at it. Instead of seeing aging as a limit, it's a time of freedom and new possibilities.
Now, as we wrap up, I think it's important to mention some common mistakes people make when working with the subconscious.
What are some things to watch out for?
Inconsistency is a big one. Doing these techniques once in a while isn't enough. Consistency is key. Like building physical strength takes regular exercise, right?
So we need to make these practices part of our daily routine, even just a few minutes each day.
Exactly. Another pitfall is doubt. If we don't believe in the power of our subconscious or that these techniques work, we create resistance that blocks things from happening.
Like trying to plant a seed in bad soil. We need that fertile ground of faith and trust.
And lastly, remember the subconscious works in its own way and it takes time. Don't get discouraged if results aren't immediate. Be patient, persistent, and trust the process.
So as we finish this deep dive, what's the most important thing you want our listener to take away?
The key message is this. You have incredible power within you. Power to transform your life in amazing ways. The power of your subconscious is limitless, and it's waiting to be unlocked.
By understanding its principles and using the techniques we've explored, you can achieve your goals, overcome challenges, and create a life that truly reflects your highest vision.
This deep dive has been a fascinating journey, and I hope it's shown everyone the potential that lies within. Keep exploring these concepts and, most importantly, put them into practice.
Remember, the journey of self-discovery and growth never ends. By nurturing your mind and aligning your beliefs with your desires, you can create a life filled with purpose, joy, and endless possibilities.
Thanks for joining us. May you harness the power of your subconscious mind to create a life beyond your wildest dreams.
And until next time, keep diving deep.